because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Race fam, Brian Davis Races. Thanks for checking out the channel today. Please subscribe. Today we're going to go hit a road race in Palmyra, Wisconsin. It was a gorgeous day for a road race. Don't typically love road racing, but this one was awesome. So made the trip down there, gorgeous part of the state, loved the drive down there, and really was a well put together event. And there was a few lessons that I can take away from this race. Number one, I wish I had done the mental recon on this race a little bit better. So I didn't really know I was going to race till the day before. I wish I'd given that a little more time and attention when I did decide I was going to race. Study the flyer, look at the map, have an understanding what's going to happen, look at the elevation profile, things that I could control that take like 5 minutes of Googling. Wish I had done that. I wish that I had thought through my nutrition plan a little bit better. So it was really hot outside. All I was missing was a goo or some sort of sugar device to get me through the last lap. That would have been really, really helpful. And then one other thing that was totally within my control that I didn't do is I had a back bottle filled with water, and at the end I chose not to take it because I was worried about weight. And what I should have done is on a 5-lap course, I should have taken that bottle and should have planned on really trying to get through that first bottle or half a bottle, whatever bottle I have access to in that first half lap, and then ditching it or refilling it or whatever the case is on the back bottle. So wish I would have done that. I would have had more hydration, I would have had more nutrition, and I think that would have helped mentally prepare me to get through the race. I don't think I was physically struggling too much, but I think that mental break was a hindrance. So things I'm happy about in this race, got the best compliment ever. I set my goal in this race was to animate, was to do something, to just be active. And about 3/4 of the way through the race, a fellow racer turned to me and he said, "Wow, you're really aggressive today." Oh, that was awesome. That's all I wanted to hear. That made my day. I could have gone home right then. In the end, I think I would have been smarter to do some things differently, to be in a better position physically at the end of the race, but that didn't happen. And I think I learned more by doing it this way than sucking wheel the whole time and popping out for a sprint, which is what I normally do. Even though that might have been more successful, I think I learned more long-term as a racer doing it this way. So let's get into the commentary and then we'll wrap up at the end. Rolling hills, farmland, lush green, no towns, no traffic. It's awesome. They made this so simple. All right. It's so easy. I don't understand the big deal. There's a big hill I hear about.
It's not really that big. It's not that big.
I bet they're lying.
A little kicker.
It's not that big. It's not that big. It's not that big. It's not that big.
All right, race fans, let's go racing. We are off on the first couple minutes of the race, and for whatever reason, I didn't go out extra hard, but no one seemed to care that I went out. I guess that says a lot about me. So I just kept rolling off the front, tried to keep my own pace going up this hill. And my plan was, if they slowly forgot about me or let me get away, then so be it. I'll hold it as long as I can. But when I hit this hill, my plans kind of fell apart. So you can see that was the first glimpse of the riders there. And so I made it about 6 minutes on the front of the peloton, not killing myself. I called it in my head more of a warm-up because I had not gotten a great warm-up, but anyway, that was that. So that was my first session with the hammer during the race. And now, again, I'm off on the front, and I'm going to slip back to about 3-4 deep, and this is where I'm going to spend a very large majority of the race, is about this far back in the group, which is where I usually like to be. 3, 4, 5 people back. In this group, I think our total race count was 17, maybe, somewhere in that range. So, you know, hanging in the top 5 is probably a pretty good idea. All right, so now, that was after the first hill. I'm sorry, when I did the data on the overlays, I forgot the map of the course, which would have been nice, and the time, which would have been nice. Anyway, I'll settle in on a template and stick with it, but so far I'm still experimenting. So apologize for that. In any event, I'm back on the front, still in the first, 3 miles into the race, so I guess still a warm-up, but I guess to be critical of myself, I'm unnecessarily wasting watts. I don't have any teammates in this field. There's zero reason for me to be up here. But this is one thing interesting tactically. So we've all been on group rides, right, where we have the ability to blow a stop sign or whatever the case out in the middle of nowhere. So once you round these turns, the people in the front have a much easier time on these turns than the people in the back because of the whipsaw effect. So I thought of that and thought I'd just lay down a little hammer shove here and see if I can inflict some pain on the back of the peloton. Now this backfired a little bit on me because I must have created a problem back there, because as soon as I settle in, then comes Brian and crew up the road, and then I had to hit my hammer again in order to catch them, which was probably not something I was expecting to do. But we found a neutral zone that we all sort of mentally picked out. It was after the first half of the course, I'd say, maybe the first third of hills. And then for whatever reason, on top of this hill, this little stretch of road, everyone sort of had a ceasefire almost all day, which was kind of nice because, in 5 laps, you kind of come to depend on that. So I'm not sure what happened on the 5th lap, but in any event. So this is, again, a view that we'll get used to. So I'm 4 deep. Brian in the orange kit is up front. Now, Brian would be an awesome teammate. I would love to be Brian's teammate because he just pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls and does stuff like this where we go around a turn just like I did a few minutes before, where he makes you work for it to catch up. So here I'm hitting 900 watts just to close this gap, and that definitely has an effect on people. So we're fast forwarding a little bit here, and we're up into the front of the race. We just passed the start-finish line, and we're going out again to start the loop. So Andy calls up some teammates. Now Velocause has 4 riders in this race. So I was looking at them like, hey, you guys gotta carry the mantle on the day. And so that was kind of my plan, to follow them and see whatever they did. And I shouldn't say that was my plan. That was one thing that crossed my mind. So here again, second lap, Brian's going to go up to the front and just hammer a pace, which was tough. So this just took a toll. Brian just kept doing this to us again and 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 again. And I don't know why this guy doesn't get tired, but he just doesn't. So I guess if I had some criticism for Brian, I would say I just don't understand why he doesn't save that energy and do one brutal attack from 5 or 6 riders deep and just clean our clocks. So a little further up the road, this gentleman and I are off the front. He did a hellacious pull, and then I turned around and I'm like, oh, well, wow, we have a gap. I didn't realize that. So I went and pulled and tried to work on our gap. So again, I just wanted to paint the picture that I was trying to do some animating earlier in the race, which had an effect on me later in the race. So anyway, this was a good yank. The group had to work pretty hard, I think, to catch up with us. And again, there's Brian. I just think he likes to have people to chase too, so he's hard to get away from. Just as hard as he's trying to get away from us, it's hard for us to get away from him, which is good. It's fun to have somebody like that in the race that is a fierce competitor. So hats off, Brian. All right, so this is our little neutral zone. You can see my heart rate. For me, 165 is pretty pegged, so I am happy to have a little rest. And then after that section, I said I need to take a race. So we have this couple sections where it's just pretty mellow, and then we're going to have a few sections where it's not so mellow, and we're going into the start-finish line. I think this is going to be on the second lap. You can tell by the mileage. So it's only 15 miles in. It's a 40-mile course, or a 40-mile race is what we're doing. So a couple attacks here on this backside, and you see these watts numbers just pop up, 6, 7, 8, 9,000, over 1,000 that time just to close the gap. Well, that's gonna leave a mark. So here is an interesting part of the race. You see the rider in the front. His name is Simone. He is just casual. This is going to be the world's easiest attack. So he just casually, he doesn't even realize he's off the front, which is kind of how I started the race too. So he just casually rolls off the front, and you can see what happens here. Brian and Andy. Andy's got the team. Brian's got the desire to chase everything. but you're going to see Brian take a drink here and kind of lose mental focus on what's happening in the race, and then I shouldn't say he's going to lose focus, but Andy's going to come in front of him, and I think Brian's just going to go take a break for a little while, which is great. But Andy's in no rush to chase the... Oh, I'm sorry, that's Brian up front. Another Brian in the blue shoes, Brian Leatherman. But he's in no mood to chase that. He's happy to let a little gap open and see what happens, probably depending on Brian being the one to pull it back. So here's later in the race, much later in the race, the 3-4 group overtakes us. That's who just went by, and then Brian throws down another brutal attack. This is actually the 5th and final lap. So forgive me, we skipped massive sections of the race there. But after the 3-4 group comes by us, the Masters 2-3, Brian puts in this attack. We still have Simone off the front that we're chasing. Now we're 33 miles into this race, so this is the last lap, as you can tell. So he puts on that attack. We close this gap to the 3-4s, and the 3-4s are going to be chasing this guy up the road. There, you see in the white jersey, they're chasing him, so he's not in our race. But we're still chasing Simone, and Brian gets it in his head that that's the spot where he's going to attack, and it works great. So he absolutely destroys me here. I get a cramp. Here's exactly what happened. I got a cramp for like 2 pedal strokes, and it was just enough to throw me off, and that was it. I was out of it. So in the end, like when those 3-4s guys came around us, we kind of neutralized ourselves. Well, the official wanted us to. And that, I think, really messed up my sort of rhythm, if you will. And I don't know. I guess I have to blame my mental focus there. I just lost it. So, again, a little more sugar, a little more water may have helped. But I think that was a mental issue there. But great race. I had a lot of fun. Like I said, it was awesome.
All right, race fam, thanks for checking out the channel today. Again, if you like what I had to say today, please subscribe. Please hit that stupid thumb. It means a lot to the YouTube algorithms if you hit the thumb. So hit the thumb. And if you don't like what I had to say today, bye-bye.